From the Keith Vincent Carroll Studios in Paterson, New Jersey, Green Arrow Media proudly presents Is This Real? Tonight, the afterlife and reincarnation. What is it? We'll talk about it. Here's your host, JC3.
Welcome everybody to another fantastic episode of Is This Real?
Is this real?
Tonight's episode, as you heard Big Joe say in the beginning, we're talking about reincarnation and the afterlife, which is basically kind of the same thing, because for you to be reincarnated, you have to kind of die.
No.
This episode is brought to you...
There's a step-by-step thing.
This episode is brought to you by W Energy Drinks.
Hey.
Go to w.gg, punch in the code Is This Real for all your W products, and get 10% off all your W products.
Buy W now.
Go purchase some. Anthony, show everybody a new shirt. Fall down, go boom with the Pope's face on it himself. It is now up on our Spread Shirt website.
Spread shop.
Spread shop.
That's what happened when the asteroid hit the dinosaurs. They all fell down.
Spread cheeks.
Yeah, and you get there. How do you get there, Joe?
You go to our website and go to the Spread Shirt option in the tiles on the top of the website.
You're saying it wrong again. It's not spread shirt. Spread shop.
Spread shop. Whatever.
GreenArrowMedia.org. Click the link in the banner. Spread shop. You can go buy one of these awesome tees.
And Roadblock does have a sweater.
Finally.
2 years in the making, but he's got it.
And then JC3 has a hat on.
I do have a hat.
We are our best purchase.
I had a cup from season 7.
Yes.
I lost that.
Or, well, Dad, are you thirsty? Maybe you could want a drink out of the Is This Real mugs.
You can't really see it from the video I'm seeing. There you go. All right, so reincarnation, gentlemen.
Yes.
So are we tackling? Because to me, what I first like, I know we have the psychologist behind us, the big wig in college right now. But I also have the Britannica definition of reincarnation.
Okay, so wait,
which is better than Wikipedia.
You want to go out to?
I trust Britannica more.
You want to go out to reincarnation before we talk about the afterlife?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, to me, is both the afterlife and reincarnation, they're both more religious ideas than they are anything else, right?
The afterlife definitely is, because all right now evidence points to there is no afterlife. It's
That's
just
what I'm saying. It's
death.
It's what you believe in.
Right. It's all about belief.
So it's more of this a belief thing than it is more of. I mean, again, it's spiritual.
I think that I don't think there's evidence of against afterlife. I just think there's lack of evidence.
Yeah, that's better.
That there is any such thing as, the afterlife, because you can't. I can't sit here and tell you I can prove it. I can't prove it. None of us at this day can prove it. Same thing with reincarnation. It's all speculation at this point. And in reincarnation, I don't think it's so much is a religious thing, because I know in the Roman Catholic Church, you're not supposed to believe in reincarnation.
Well, yeah. So this is what I have on.
It's pagan. It's witchy.
Britannica. So reincarnation, also called transmigration or metempsychosis, is in religion and psychology, or physiopsychology. What the fuck that is? Philosophy. Philosophy. There we go. Rebirth of the aspect of an individual.
Close.
Shut up. Is the rebirth of an aspect of an individual that persists after bodily death, whether it is it'll be consciousness, mind, the soul, or some other entity, and one or more successive existences.
Where's that coming from?
Wes is touching his mic. Giggity.
So it's not just the whole person. It could be an aspect of that person.
That's what it's saying. It's consciousness, mind, soul, or some other entity in one or more successive existences.
So that's like the people that reincarnate into a table.
What?
You can't reincarnate to a table.
I'm going to come back as a fish.
Hold on.
It's matter.
Wait.
It's energy.
No. Because reincarnation usually goes from, I think it's living thing to living thing,
well,
right?
Here's another part.
So you could go to a cat or something.
Depending on the tradition, these existences may be human, animal, spiritual, or in some instances, vegetable.
What the fuck is
Who the fuck came back as a tomato?
I'm more thinking.
Or someone in a wheelchair.
You could
I mean,
reincarnate
whoa!
as a table.
What?
No, you can't.
Yes, because a tree.
You have to be reincarnated as the tree,
But then you be turned into table.
And then you die again because you're going to be screaming in agony.
But when you're cut down to become a table, you're dead.
How do you know if it's still dead?
Because
They scream in agony.
Hold on a minute. Here's a question.
If you wake up dead, you a zombie.
Now in most religions you have a heaven and a hell, correct? I mean, you can
No.
die.
Not most
not
religions.
Okay,
most,
The
but
major
the whole
religions.
premise behind religion is be good or you're going to be suffering when you leave this earth. That's what basically all religion
Yes,
is out.
sure.
Now, just let's throw this out there. What if reincarnation actually is now call it God, call it whatever you want, that's their way of punishing people who have been bad? In other words, you get reincarnated into a lower form of life.
The Buddhists believe that when you reincarnate, it's because you didn't live a fulfilled life, so you come back to get another chance to fulfill your life.
Well, that concept is
it Buddha? I think it might be, yeah, because they believe in nirvana, right?
it goes into
Or
it goes
enlightenment.
deeper into because Hinduism also believes a similar
Yes,
concept.
I knew Hinduism believed in it.
It's karma. Karma, you do good, and it goes to the point where after you get to a certain point, you reach a point where you can't reincarnate no more. That's you doing good things. Buddhism is based off enlightenment. With Buddhism, similar style of like once you reach a point in your life where you've enlightened, changes between depending on like school of Buddhism, like Zen, or
So
going
I was
back
thinking of
into-
Hinduism then.
Yeah, you're more thinking about Hinduism, but they both have a similar concept of reincarnation and nirvana or some higher place, but it's not comparable to like a heaven though. It's
Well, here I
A
have
higher
I have,
state.
I have
my
the
question is,
separation.
like,
here.
what's the end game here?
Okay. So
It depends.
reincarnation is widely accepted by the major Eastern religions, most prominently Hinduism and Buddhism. It also has a history in Greek, ancient Greek philosophy. However, for people more familiar with the major monotheistic religions, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, the idea of reincarnation seems foreign and maybe a little strange. That's because Christianity, Judaism, and Islam conceive a time of linear. Life is simply a short step that determines the quality of an afterlife. For those who believe in only one life, followed by an eternal afterlife, reincarnation is likely an unwieldy marathon run by relay instead of a short conscience sprint.
I kind of have a problem with that.
Well, here's an example.
Okay, go ahead.
Example.
Gotcha.
The goddess Lakshmi and the parasitic
Lakshmi.
twins. Lakshmi. So in November 2007, a 2-year-old Indian girl born with 4 arms and 4 legs underwent surgery to remove her extra limbs.
She was a spider.
As a fetus, the girl absorbed her non-developing twin, taking on its appendages and kidneys. Some villagers believe the child was a reincarnation of the 4-armed Hindu goddess Lakshmi, after whom she was named.
That's a problem right there when it comes to fucking religion. It clearly said there was an underdeveloped fetus that, while in development, she absorbed and then, kept the appendages. It has nothing to do with anything divine. Nothing. No
Well,
God
some
came
people
down
think-
and said, we're going to give you some extra. And what's she supposed to do with those extra arms and legs?
you can hold 4 plates.
I wouldn't want to go against her in like any sort of sprint. She has an advantage. She has 2 extra feet.
She gets twice as tired.
She would have done a hell of a. She would have made a killing in the haunted house area.
Yeah. I mean, like she's not fucking Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Dude, no, stop.
I'm not. I'm just saying, like, it makes
What's
no
the female
fucking
version
sense.
of that?
Shiva.
Shiva.
But Shao Kahn's only have 2 legs.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
My point is, it's obviously that something happened in the womb, and she, absorbed her twin. That has nothing to do with religion. That's just that's a shitty luck of the draw.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's quote unquote examples here.
Did she do any miracles? Did she do anything that shows?
Well, she was
No,
6
but-
when they took the limbs off.
No, well, she would have been executed in Sparta.
That's true. Perfect babies, you get thrown off the cliff.
Absolutely inappropriate, but not wrong.
Yes.
I
My question is, okay, so they named her after this god. Did
Goddess.
she goddess? Excuse me. Did she do anything of the nature of that goddess? Like, if she was like the goddess of plants, Did this little girl like, oh, I love being in the vegetable garden? You know what I mean? Like, was it something else other than just having extra arms and legs?
Well, no. I mean,
So it's not religious.
I mean, not that we know of. Like,
Okay, jackass, to them it would be religious because they believe in their gods, and if something like that happens when they don't know anything about actual science, to them it's just something otherworldly. It's godly.
Yeah, I understand that, but my question
You
is,
can sit
before
there and have a shit fit all you want, but if you think back to the time it was, then they're gonna believe.
well, when was this,
It was
Joe?
only 2007.
2007.
Yeah, so there's no excuse. Like, we've had doctors and scientists for a couple thousand years at this point. My question is, like, before you go
Okay.
turn around, wait.
Oh, hold on,
Before you turn around and start, wait,
You
well, no,
do
no,
know
no.
some parts of the world actually don't have
Yeah, I understand. My
technology.
Yeah,
point
like-
is,
like-
before you
I
start
I
don't
don't
building
want to
this album in
sound
2007?
fucked up, but even they say
Crazy.
India is overpopulated
Yeah, there's too many.
and there's not enough medical care going around India to
That's
begin
fine.
with.
My point is,
So they could
bef-
be the society is not as advanced.
no. My
Even though there's a lot of Indian doctors.
My point
You
is,
believe that?
before you start placing blame on God, look for any other excuse to why this thing is happening first. Because to me, that's where faith comes in. When there is no other logical answer, then you can blame it on God and have faith that God
Well,
did it
what-
in the right
hold
way.
on,
For
I mean,
whatever
Okay,
reason.
when the people
Wait.
don't know anything about it, they're just automatically
even
gonna
that.
turn to God.
Not even that. Why did she absorb her twin?
Something was fucked up while she was developing as a fetus.
What was fucked up?
I don't know. There's a lot of
That's
things.
where the faith
But I
comes
mean,
in.
no, that's not where faith comes in. There's a lot of things that happen when twins absorb. One twin gets absorbed. Sarah's the same way. She was supposed to have a twin. I wouldn't want to live in a world like that. But she was supposed to have a twin.
Damn, Sarah.
No. Just think.
Damn,
No,
Sarah.
because I would be the butt of that joke. It's like I accidentally
Damn,
slept with
Sarah.
your twin. Well, I don't know. Me and Steve have different. You know what I mean? Difference between me and my twin is Steve has a cock. No, my point is she absorbed her twin.
You okay, Dad?
There's something that happened in development as a fetus.
I'm just trying.
Well,
to get
I know
back.
that, but you could sit there and people will believe that it's an act of God that something happened like that.
Oh, I don't dig that those things are acts of God.
Acts of God only happened. That's the only excuse that was made because the insurance company said it was the act of God, so they don't have to pay out the fucking policy. That's why act of
Acts
God.
of God. I believe in acts of God just as much as I believe in thoughts and prayers. They don't
Come
do
on.
shit.
You know,
You're
the
a
flood
mean
was an act
fuck.
of God, so you're not going to get any money for it.
Yeah, it's an act of God. So some thoughts and prayers. Then we're even.
You're
Anyway,
a
what
mean
do
fuck.
we got going on here with this reincarnation thing?
Well, we're in the middle of discussing it. I mean,
Well, chick with 6 arms that sucked that absorbed her fucking brother and sister.
no,
mean,
no, it was a child. So
Yeah.
calm down.
Okay.
You calm down too.
I didn't say anything.
Jesus Christ. So I mean, again, I have these long stories about reincarnation, and well, this is reincarnation, and Hinduism, Buddhism, the ancient world, and in science. Do we want to talk about reincarnation in science?
Give me
Yes.
something. I would appreciate that.
All right. So
I got one as well.
Like the kid who said he was a Martian.
What is that reincarnation?
Yeah, I know what he's talking about.
I mean, isn't
I
that
don't think I
just
could say what I was
identifying-
thinking about, but I'm not going to say
Isn't
it.
that just like identifying? Like I could say I'm a Martian.
No, it's a kid with a really good imagination.
Anywho, although reincarnation seems conventional to more than 1.2 billion practitioners of Hinduism and Buddhism, it's not widely accepted by those outside of Eastern religion. The Western skepticism of reincarnation is tied to monotheistic religions focused on a single life, single soul, and an active God who does not rely on karmic law. And with the sporadic believers announcing their Cleopatra or Elvis reincarnate, it's not surprising many people remain extremely skeptical on the soul's ability to return repeatedly. However, this general skepticism has not prevented researchers from exploring the potential for reincarnation. Dr. Ian Stevenson, an academic psychiatrist, led the study of reincarnation in the United States until his death in 2007.
Did he come back?
Right before this little girl died. Not died. Was born.
Oh, okay.
Was he the little girl?
Stevenson founded the Division of Personality Studies under University of Virginia's Department of Psychiatry and the Neurobehavioral Sciences. The lab, which later became known as the Division of Perceptual Studies, focuses on examining children who remember former lives, near-death experiences, apparitions, and after-death communications, out-of-body experiences, and deathbed visions.
Now we're talking good shit. What are some of their stories?
Stevenson, who often called reincarnation the survival of personality after death, saw the existence of past lives as a potential explanation for the difference. We good there? Yeah. Potential explanation for the differences in human condition. He believed the past experiences plus genetics and the environment could help elucidate gender dysphoria, phobias, and other unexplained personality traits.
So you're telling me that someone who was born in 2012, what are they, 9 years old now?
Yes,
10 years old?
Yes, 11.
Now they're reaching the age where they're going through puberty and they're thinking, maybe I'm not this gender, I'm that gender. It can be at some point in a past life they were of a different gender.
That's what they're studying.
That is some extreme shit right there.
Well, this is topical. Stevenson's reincarnation studies focused on young children, usually between the ages of 2 and 5, who had inexplicable phobias or detailed memories about previous life. Stevenson would attempt to corroborate the facts the child presented with the details of a deceased person's life. He sometimes made startling connections between memories and lives. One Lebanese boy studied by Stevenson not only knew where a deceased stranger tied his dog, but also that the man had been quarantined in his room, a fact the family attributed to his pulmonary tuberculosis.
See, that's the shit that I can't explain. How does a kid know? Like, I read something on a very similar article. It was like a little girl. She was brought like to a village, like miles and miles away from where she lived. She'd never been there before. Her parents never took her. And she was able to walk up and down the street and just tell stories, and she knew people's faces. And it's like, she's 4. Like, kids are imaginative, but they can't be on the money like that in a place that they've never been to. That's the type of shit that fucks me up.
I got another one over here. It's the case of Ryan Hammonds. Okay. Now, Ryan Hammonds, at 4 years old, around the age of 4, Ryan Hammonds told his mother, Cindy, I think I used to be somebody else. Whenever they saw the Hollywood sign on TV, Ryan would get excited, saying that it was his home and he wanted to return there. He said that he was an agent in Hollywood and that the agency had changed people's names. He talked about dancing on Broadway and living in a house with a large swimming pool. Sometimes when songs came on the radio, he would stand up and start tap dancing. He sang about going to fancy parties with a cowboy man who had a horse and performed tricks and also did cigarette commercials. At school, when asked to draw pictures of his home, he would always draw 4 people: himself, his parents, and his old self. Now, how does, at 4 years old, I mean, you can just say this is imagination. But at 4 years old, how can somebody have that kind of an imagination?
Well, what could happen, and again, you would have to sit there and actually interview the children and stuff like that. I mean, we all know, I'm going this more of the paranormal area. We all know children and animals are more susceptible to the paranormal, right?
They're
Ghosts
sensitive.
and stuff. They're sensitive more
Go back up, read that second paragraph.
to ghosts. Could it be that these ghosts are talking to these children?
I don't know. Well, here's the second part of this.
Cindy began to write down everything that Ryan told her about her past life. She borrowed books about Hollywood from the local library, hoping they would help Ryan process his memories. In one book, they found a still from an old movie called Night After Night. Ryan became very animated and shouted, "Mummy, that's George." I guess when they say mummy, he was English, I'm assuming. Mummy, that's George. We did a picture together. Then he pointed to a man on the side of the photo and said, "And that's me." Ryan had always said that he didn't know the name of the previous person, his previous personality. And at first, Cindy was unable to identify the man he pointed. However, she found out later that the man was actor George Raft. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar who George Raft is.
No, I don't.
No.
He was a big Hollywood actor in the 40s and late 30s. Did a lot of gangster movies.
Oh, okay.
When Ryan was 5, his mother made When Ryan was 5, his mother made contact with Jim Tucker, who agreed to investigate his claims. A film archivist employed by a TV production company who made a documentary about Ryan identified the man Ryan said was me as Marty Martin, a dancer, actor, and agent who died in 1964. When Tucker visited Ryan and his parents, Ryan was asked to pick out photos of people and places that related to Marty Martin, which he did successfully. Most of Ryan's statements about his previous life had been recorded by his mother before Tucker got involved and before Marty Martin was identified. Some statements had already been verified by his mother. For example, she had confirmed that the cowboy friend he often spoke about was a man named Wild Bill Elliott. With Tucker's help, other statements were verified from sources such as public records, National Archives, newspapers, obituaries, travel documents, and census reports. Since Martin was an obscure figure, there was no information about him on the internet, at least at that time. Martin's daughter was contacted and verified other statements. I mean, I can go on with this, but you're getting the drift here. You know,
so this little kid in England suddenly gains consciousness one day and like, I was an actor in the '60s. How the fuck does he know that?
Well,
and you know a lot of other stuff too.
Here's a counterpoint to that.
Go ahead.
A challenge from beyond. Although Stevenson never publicly stated a personal belief in reincarnation, he did express his desire to communicate after he died. Nearly 40 years ago, the psychiatrist purchased a combination lock and set the code himself with a mnemonic device. He sequestered the lock in a file cabinet and placed it on in the division of perceptual studies. He reportedly told colleagues that after death, he would attempt to pass on the numeric device. Since Stevenson's death in February 2007, the lock has not been opened.
It makes no fucking sense. It doesn't. Like, this is one of those things where there is, to me, it's like scatter points. You have this marker here, which has all of these things where you're like, oh yeah, this is true. All of the evidence says that this is true. But then you look at the bigger plot, and there's so many other things that, like, this doesn't apply universally at all. It's like by a case-by-case basis, and I'm pretty sure most of those cases you could be like, well, you're an overactive imagination. You know what I mean? Like if a kid's like, oh yeah, I thought of this or had a dream or something.
Well, we're going to take a short little break. We'll be right back, and then we'll get more into afterlife and reincarnation because that's the only thing we have in this episode. We will be right back. Hey everybody, I'm JC3.
And I'm Mr. West.
And this episode is brought to you by Dubby. Made by professionals in the USA, Dubby was formulated to give you focus and energy with no jitters or crash.
No jitters.
Their formula contains vitamins, amino acids, including the patented Neurofactor. You know what Dubby doesn't give you?
What is that?
No calories, no sugars, no fillers, and no artificial flavors. When the raw ingredients arrive to their FDA-registered and inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP guidelines, they undergo a quarantine while a small sample of each ingredient is taken to test for any impurities, while also being tested to ensure that the ingredients are actually what they are supposed to be and have the proper dosage.
And once the ingredients pass all the tests, then they're cleared to get mixed into the formula. So head on over to dubby.gg and use our offer code IsThisRealPC for 10% off your first order. That's DUBBY.GG and use the code IsThisRealPC for 10% off. They have great flavors such as Galaxy Grenade, Dub Sludge, Passion Joy Tea, Monkey Madness, and Dragonade. My personal favorites.
Dragonade right here. I got Dragonade right here. Delicious.
Drink Dubby
and be better.
These products are not intended to diagnose, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hello, this is JC3 speaking. If you want to know more about Is This Real Podcast and our parent company Green Hour Media, then visit greenhourmedia.org. You can find and follow all of our social media pages through our website. If you love our content, then you can support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel and our Patreon page. Remember, that is greenhourmedia.org.
If you liked this video today, please click the like and subscribe button and make sure to hit the notification icon to keep up with all our videos.
Hey everybody, we're just letting you know that we have new merch in our store. Go to greenhourmediastore.myspreadshop.com, greenhourmedia.org, or the link in the bio for our first ever logo drop. The cryptid collection is here. Get your favorite cryptids such as Bigfoot, Mothman, Nessie, the Yeti, or the Jersey Devil on t-shirts, hats, or mugs. You can also get all of our podcast logos on various items as well. Remember, that's greenhourmediastore.myspreadshop.com, greenhourmedia.org, or the link in the bio. New episodes of Is This Real drop Sundays at 8. Question everything.
Welcome back from the little break that we had. Now, again, like I say almost on every episode, this episode is brought to you by W Energy Drinks. Go to w.gg, punch in the code IsIsRealPC for 10% off all your W products, and
go buy it.
Go
let me ask you something about W. If you buy W, you get to either energy drink. Do they give you that canister as part, or is that a separate purchase?
No, it is a separate purchase, but I got this with the W package.
Okay.
There was a package that came with this, and Dragonade and
Dragonade is very good.
Passion fruit punch.
Dragonade, I recommend.
I recommend getting it just for that thing. That's cute as hell.
There's like 3 different, and then they also have a green one that's more of eco-friendly one.
Okay.
And I guess it's made with like eco-friendly materials, I guess. But yes, they are coming out with new flavors every so often months.
Okay.
And please again go to spreadshop.com and search up Green Hour Media for Anthony. Show him your t-shirt. Fall Down, Go Boom, new t-shirt that has just come out. We have Roadblock sweater, Is This Real, the original logo, and then hats just like the one you see on my head right here. So afterlife and reincarnation, gentlemen, what else do we have?
Did you ever hear or read the short story by Edgar Allan Poe called "The Facts in the Case of M. Valdemar"?
I have.
Of course, I have not. No, I have not.
Okay.
What do you mean? Of course you have.
You read. I don't.
So
we know.
We were just talking about life after death, and is there a way to test that? Like, we don't really have a test.
Go find out.
One of them was a story by Edgar Allan Poe, which was at the moment of death, the man was hypnotized, and the hypnotist told the man to stay, pretty much just like stay in the corpse, and they kept going back like after weeks and months, and the body would like kind of decay but not really, and you would just hear noise coming from the man's mouth about asking to be released. And it wasn't until he finally said, "Okay, release him," and the hypnotist released him from his bonds, and the corpse just like deteriorated into like a puddle of ooze.
That's creepy.
The idea, though, is interesting to hypnotize someone at the point of death, because to me, I would think the hypnosis is altering someone's consciousness, and if they're not conscious to experience death, does consciousness tie into the body in the sense that one does not work without the other? Or do we survive death in a non-physical form as consciousness?
You know what that's a question for? That's a question.
I'm not even stoned right now.
That's a question for Cito, because I don't know what the fuck you just said.
Yeah, Cito, you want to interpret that for us, please?
Wait, West, do you have any idea of what he said? Because, I mean, you're a former stoner. When you get stoned, those ideas just start to flow.
You might have to repeat that again. I was talking to a bitch.
Okay, if you were hypnotized at the moment of death,
okay,
does your consciousness still live on through the body, or does your consciousness evaporate into the ether with your body as it dies?
I would say that your consciousness just escapes and goes into the ether, because energy can't be created or destroyed. It only just transfers somewhere else.
Right. But what if this being bound to the body somehow?
Well, I'm not going to say that's impossible, but that's very improbable.
The reason I bring this up is because 100 years ago, there was a guy who ran an experiment, and he said that...
I know where this is going.
Okay. His name was Duncan McDougall. He was a
Okay.
physicist from Massachusetts, and in 1907, he did something called the 21 grams experiment, where he tried to weigh a person at the moment of death to see if their corpse got any lighter. If it did, what is causing that weight differential? And they said
I farted.
21. It's called the 21 grams experiment because he actually recorded that at a moment of death, someone lost 21 grams of mass, and that would be the weight of your soul.
The weight of your soul is definitely more than 21 grams.
Hey, is that a fat joke or is that a black heart joke?
Yes.
Anyway, he hypothesized.
What do you think your soul weighs, Mr. West?
1,000 bricks.
Oh, okay.
One of the 6 subjects that he was doing an experiment on lost 3/4 of an ounce, 21.3 grams, when they passed away. So the idea of like
That's the only one who lost weight?
Yeah, out of the 5.
Like, it could have just been that all his bodily fluids just got extinguished from him, and like, what happens after all death?
Gas.
Well, I think they take that into consideration. It's like, you void your bowels after you die. So they would have to take that part out. Like, we know this guy was going to shit his pants.
Okay.
So,
But like, what if he just had a little bit? Like, what if he was?
That's what
constipated
happens
all
when
his
you're
life?
No, I know that.
he
You
said
could say
this.
it differently, though.
He did say this experiment would have to be
Shatter your
repeated
pants.
over and over again before any conclusions could be, obtained. But it's something that he found. 21 grams. That's how much a soul weighs, apparently, according to Mr. McDougall.
1 out of 5. It's 20%.
Okay, it still happened 1 out of 5.
Yeah, but it's 1 out of 5. If you're 1 out of 5, you have a 20% batting average. You're not a good hitter. You're not making the team.
Yeah, that's great. But I mean, think of it like it's all about perspective. I mean, I would rather have 20% of $1 million than nothing.
Okay.
My point is, like, 1 out of 5 is a pretty big number. 20% is a big number, depending on what you're doing. And in this case, he took 5 people on the verge of death, and he found that one of them lost weight at the moment of death.
But what I'm saying is, when you're doing something like that, and you're trying to study something, it's not conclusive.
No, it's not conclusive. He said that he would have to redo this over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just hard to find people. You dying next week? It's really hard to like keep track of.
You just sit there and scroll over the hospital.
It's not like he walked up to someone like, "You ready?" and then shot him in the head. Because then you would have to like calculate how much the bullet took out of their
He's
skull.
not fucking Kevorkian. I mean, what the fuck?
No, that's not what he was doing. He didn't kill people. He just waited. He was
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
he was like reading a book off to the side, like, John. All right, I'm just checking in.
Okay.
Okay. How much does a soul weigh?
Dad, because I'm done with you.
What's the question?
You had something. Please, for the love of God, have something.
I'm just going to bring up something here. It's called the abstract. The worldwide children can be found who reported they have memories of previous life.
Oh,
Okay. More than 2,500 cases have been studied under some specifications, have been published and preserved in the archives of the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. Many of those children come from countries where the majority of the inhabitants believe in reincarnation, but others come from countries with different cultures and religions that reject it. In many cases, the revelations of the children have been verified and have corresponded to particular individual already dead.
Question for you real quick.
Yeah.
Do you know the percentage of how many children come from... Is it more of a percentage of children who come from an area that believes in reincarnation compared to the one that's not?
It just says...
because
many of those children come from countries where the majority of the inhabitants believe in reincarnation, but others come from countries. No, it doesn't give you a breakdown on what what they believe and what they don't believe, and that's also a big factor in this too, because look, like I said between breaks, I believe that this is something that is extremely rare.
Well, it's the same thing when people turn around and say that dreams are like visions of our past life.
Right.
It comes into the same area
If that's the case, was I dead my past life? Because I'm gonna be honest, I don't dream.
Yeah, I have never dreamt about being in a past life. I've had dreams of stuff as I was younger, as a child.
I've seen myself die in my dreams.
But my question is,
I dream of weird shit.
Yeah, you've never had a dream where
We
you're
know
like you're
you do.
doing something that it's like I've never done this before.
Not that I can
Like
recall.
the dream that I had that I told you guys that I saw the blonde woman with the black face, and I had that 2 nights in a row. I've never been in like a suit and a tux, or a fucking tux in a nice fucking area, going up to a really hot blonde woman. So it's like, what was that dream about? You know what I'm saying?
Your fantasies.
And
That's a whole other broadcast, because you don't know what dreams are about. Nobody does. Is it something that we have psychologically in our minds that we think of?
They are the language of God.
Yeah.
Or is it something
it's
that
psychology
that comes through?
I mean, you could also say that people say that dreams are a vision into our alternate selves. Also,
You mean your
They're the
subconscious?
language of God.
no, alternate self.
What's an alternate self?
Like people who believe in an alternate universe.
Oh,
We don't have to worry
Yeah.
about Thomas for another show. He's got 3 more just in 5 seconds.
No, what I'm saying, I'm just saying.
I understand.
it's
what you're
just
saying,
psychology.
but It's just it's something that you're not going to be able to prove either way. You don't. I mean,
I would be interested to see how many people are reincarnated and be able to be like, oh no, I know exactly where my body is because I was left in the woods because I was murdered. Like, I want to see that number. Like, how many
You're very
you're not going to get that, and I'll tell you why you're not going to
Why
get
not?
that. Well, you're not going to get that because when you're reincarnated, you're not being reincarnated as a 30-year-old. You're being reincarnated as you're going through the whole steps again.
Yeah,
You know, your father's got to lay pipe. Your mother's got to sit there. The whole 9 yards.
You gotta
all
sit
right?
there?
9 months of being in utero. Then you got to go through the whole thing again. And by the time you figure out where you've been buried in your previous life, you've got a whole history of like, you know what, you're full of shit.
And you got to worry about
I don't
walking.
know about that because say a kid's like 7 or 8 years old. I mean, like, like if a kid was like, oh yeah, like a 7-year-old kid came up to me and was like, hey, if you go to this section of the woods, you'll find a body under a tree. That was me in a past life, and he was wearing a clown suit. Like, that's really specific, and I would need to know where the fuck did this kid got that information from.
Well, he'd have to preface it by saying,
Or like,
I
buried tens of
this
millions
is
of dollars.
who I was. You're going to have to, and then when they get the body, they verify the body against what this kid said. And if it comes out true, well, then you got a case for it. If it comes out that you said that, I was George Washington, and it turns out the guy's Abraham Lincoln, well, then you know what? Maybe it's clairvoyancy. Maybe you
the
figured
kid
it out.
just had the wires crossed.
Exactly. So
Here's one that'll fuck you up. This
One
guy's
president for another.
this person, I don't want to say this guy because it goes into it. This person is catching some shit on TikTok because it's a they. Their pronouns are they.
There are multiple people.
I
They
feel like I know
believe-
exactly where
I
you're
don't wanna go
going
with
with
this.
this.
They believe that they are the reincarnated
I know.
Hitler.
Oh, why would you want to sit there and even
This-
own up to that?
This person, and it is a trans individual because they go by they.
I'm
This
not gonna make a
person
comment here 'cause
wears
I get in trouble here.
the person wears the hair off to the side, and they have a nose ring, but it hangs low. And they go, "This is who I was." The person made a video saying, "I knew I was Hitler in a past life. I could tell you where I was when I committed suicide." And I'm like, "Gee, it's not like you looked that information up online or anything."
Well, I mean, judging that there's a whole conspiracy theory that Hitler didn't commit suicide.
Well, this person is
He was in
saying
Argentina.
this person's saying that they did commit suicide when they were Adolf Hitler in a past life. And that's the other thing I have to question.
Well, you know what? Fine. You want to claim that you're Adolf Hitler?
This is why we need
Hold
more
on,
help
no.
in mental fucking health
You really want to
areas.
claim that? You want to claim something that somebody who did really, really, and you want us to believe that? Put him on trial for fucking crimes against humanity. See how much he wants to be Hitler then.
Here's the other thing about reincarnation I don't fucking understand. How long does it take in order to be reincarnated? Is it like the moment of death, you're waking up and like you're being pushed out of a snatch? Or is it like, oh, I was reincarnated, but I was somebody 400 years ago?
I'm pretty sure you have to be conscious for that to
Let's
happen.
just add that in. People who say that the light at the end of the tunnel is you being reincarnated coming out of the vagina.
No, that's fine. But my point is, it's like, how long does reincarnation have? It's like, oh yes, I was a pirate in the 1700s.
Well, let's just put it like this.
I
It's
am
like
Luffy.
it's 2023, asshole.
How long? How long? Does
500 fucking years?
How long does it take you to remember your childhood memory? Like to remember shit from your childhood?
I can barely remember what I did yesterday.
Yeah, like
Exactly.
I'm 35 years old. I don't know what the fuck I did this morning. You want to know what I did at 5?
Exactly. So it might take you a while to remember shit from your past life.
But okay, is it limited to
Well, I mean,
only
obviously,
one?
children are learning
How many
it,
people
so-
say like I had multiple past lives? That's the other. That's another question. It's like, does everyone get one past life? Are we just one soul being reproduced after every
I think I was
couple
an animal
eons?
at one point.
I don't know.
I have one thing.
What?
It's completely
Speaking to the mic, Cito.
It's completely irrelevant, but yet relevant at the same time. Did you guys hear about that theory that all like the world powers, like Illuminati and all that, are just reincarnated over and over and over again?
You'd have to prove that shit to me, man.
Yeah, and they're very lucky to be reincarnated to that same position.
Yeah, it's like,
like-
I'm a billionaire again. Fuck me.
It's like basically like
3 times in a row.
someone would be like a famous actor in one past life, a billionaire or king in like
Well, I
years
mean,
ago.
there's those theories that Keanu Reeves has been living throughout history.
Yeah, because they call him a vampire because somebody looked like him in the 1840s, and all
It's
of a
not
sudden,
just look like him; they look like twins.
okay, that happens. There are doppelgangers in this planet. We just happen to be. Listen, there's only so many genes in the fucking human genome. Okay, sometimes they get mixed up and they come out the exact same way. There are people who like.
So what you're trying to say, Anthony, is no one is
unique or special.
unique or
yes.
special. You're not special, all right?
You're all threes.
2.5
I'm
at
more
best.
concerned that there's another Anthony.
That's true.
Anything else in this world
Like there's
does
funny,
not
He
need.
said 2.5 at best.
like
Damn
there's
you,
a
Wes.
few. There's a couple of funny. Like the one that comes to my mind is there was this guy who got on a plane. He wound up sitting right next to a guy who looks literally just like him.
I saw
Like
that.
they both had like the ginger beards, the blue eyes, the short hair. It's like they look exactly the same. Are they related? No, not at all. There's a very famous case. There was these 2 black guys who were executed 100 years ago.
You said that a little hard.
No, I didn't. There was these 2 black guys who were executed 100 years ago in 2 separate prisons on the same day. They both had the same name. I think it was like Will Rogers or some shit like that. They both had the same name, and they both looked exactly identical. They had nothing to do with each other as far as family ties. So my point is, like, there's only so many ways we can mix up the genes so they come out different and unique. But I don't think everyone has it's not like everyone has a twin. But I
All
think
right.
that enough people. There's a twin out
So-
there for you somewhere.
Okay, so let's transition to our last segment before because short episode today. Transition to the last segment. Because I believe this counts as afterlife, and Dad, you had an experience with this. What about those people who sit there and say, like, I'll give you an example. Dad, you said that when you watched your grandmother pass away, she looked into the corner of the room and she said her husband's name, right? She said Grandpa Anthony's name. Does that count as an afterlife experience?
It counts as something, and I'll tell you why it does. Is because, look,
I've heard there's a lot of cases of people seeing, well, not like the people's not telling us, but like family members saying like, what she's talking to somebody in the corner.
You want to know
right before she died.
You want to know the people have the most stories of that type of shit? Nurses, aides, and hospice workers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's an entire Reddit thing, subreddit with just people who work in the medical industry talking about the last thing that they saw when someone died and they were in the room.
Yeah.
Scary
Some of the
shit.
shit is creepy as fuck.
Scary shit. One woman admitted to a murder.
But that's what I'm saying. Does this count as an afterlife experience?
Well, I mean, maybe.
Or is it just our our conscience
you can
dying?
say it maybe on the fringe, because you're not really when you
Well,
want.
you're not experiencing.
Right, so you can't say
someone else is.
Right now, you can also. I mean, I'll play skeptic here. You can also say at the moment of death, your brain is releasing chemicals to make you want to think that you're gonna go where you want to go. In other words, oh God,
it's to ease the pain, and they're
right. They're
manifesting the good things.
Right now, that could be the way the body handles death. I don't know. No one knows, but I can tell you for firsthand, being in that room with my grandmother, she literally was reaching for him. So, and I'm looking in the corner like, what the fuck is this old bitch talking about? But again, it was there. And I've heard, like you said, in the hospitals and in hospice centers, these people are doing
No,
this all the time.
I've read those Reddit posts, and
But then you got a lot of people that are dying that
terrifying.
aren't doing it. So, is it true? Is it not?
Charles,
you can't
is that
consider
you?
that. I don't think you can consider that. Okay, here's another one. Remember? Do you remember? You were not even born yet. I don't think. When
So he probably wouldn't remember.
what's
There's a good chance he was still there though.
what's the comic that died? He always screamed. What was his name?
Sam Kinison?
Right. When Sam Kinison was hit by a car,
Yes.
joke.
he was laying on the road, and he was talking to somebody. He was talking, and he was talking calm. The guy's like, he said, I mean, I'm sure you can dig up his words or whatever, but he was having a conversation with somebody that wasn't there. So did he see somebody, or now did his mind? No, don't forget Sam Kinison did come from a religious background.
Yes,
he
he did.
was a Baptist minister, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And
He had a very funny joke.
A lot
I
of
mean,
funny
he had a
jokes.
lot of
he
funny
was
jokes.
fucking hysterical.
You know what
but-
the funniest joke he had for me was? The one where he was talking about the desert people.
There's no food in the desert,
He was
so
like-
fucking leave the desert. And
Yeah,
come
he
where
was
the
like,
food
you
is."
know why they're starving? Because there's no fucking food in the desert. You can't sand. You can't grow anything. Move them to where the food is.
I thought he was great. Not to get off on a side note, but I thought he was great in Back to School.
Oh yeah,
When he
funny
ripped
as
the
hell.
desk off.
Yes, yes.
That was hysterical.
But yeah, so I mean, does anybody else have anything for afterlife, reincarnation?
I mean, I'm just looking at some of the terrifying stories. So
That's Patreon stuff, Anthony.
what are you talking about?
You could sell them to talk. Tell them we'll talk about terrifying stories on Patreon.
Go to our Patreon.
My mom was watching over my great
This
grandfather
is why
in the
he needs to
hospital.
get fucking stabbed.
He was unresponsive for a day
We're
or
gonna do it
so.
on Patreon.
Here's something. This is gonna be you. My mom was over watching my great grandfather in the hospital. He had been unresponsive for a day or so, when all of a sudden he said, "It's about damn time you got here. I've been waiting," and then he died. Except you, he's be like, "Where the fuck have you been?" Fucker flatlines.
Well, that's another thing. Let me ask you this much. When you get people that are dying in a hospital and their relatives are coming from a distance, but somehow they hang on
They
until
hang
their
on,
relative,
yeah.
and you always hear the guy goes, "He was waiting for you." I don't think that has anything to fucking do with it.
Well, I mean,
I honestly don't. I really don't.
I don't know about that.
I mean, again, you can't prove it, you can't disprove it, but it's like, yes, you know what? Well, if he was waiting
Didn't
for
Mom's
you, tell
aunt-
him to come here next year. I got a game on to see at 3 o'clock.
Dad, didn't Mom's aunt do that when she passed away?
Apparently, when your mother's aunt died, she waited for
Grandma,
your
right?
grandmother to get there. That's bullshit too, because we were on our way to northern Pennsylvania. We got
Oh, here
rerouted
we
to
go.
Pittsburgh. Okay, she didn't know she was going to be in a distance at that. Or what time did
She
she
got
could've done
rerouted to
that.
Pittsburgh. We were an hour late, damn it.
Okay, and we got there, and then she croaked like about the next day.
Literally
She
so.
croaked the next day.
So
Here's another one, like my grandma died in '89. My grandfather Bob died in '65. She never remarried, never dated, but she'd have a great life. When she died, when she was dying, she yelled, "Bob, Bob, here I come. Oh, honey, I've missed you so much." I mean, who knows? I mean, I think
Bob turned around and goes, "Who the fuck are you?"
I mean, maybe she just had an orgasm at the time of death. Like,
Or what was Bob doing for 25 years? Sit around waiting for her?
I mean,
I don't
And
know.
why do we got to put this much pressure on the dead? Seriously.
What
They're
the
fucking
fuck are
dead.
you talking
They're
about?
dead. Let them have life, let their afterlife. What good is afterlife?
This is
Just
how-
sit around waiting for somebody.
This is how I'm going out. My last
Well,
words gonna
afterlife.
my last words gonna be like, "Hey guys, you're not gonna believe this," and then flatline.
asshole.
Holy shit, I saw it.
Asshole. All right, so
Wow.
does anybody have anything else to add? So we'll
No.
just okay. So we'll get into the whether we believe it or not. We'll start with you, Pop. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Who the fuck is Pop?
You.
Dad, do
Okay.
you believe in reincarnation or the afterlife?
I do believe in the afterlife. I do believe in the afterlife. I think, in my personal opinion, I think there's way too much evidence for it. Reincarnation, I'm still on the fence about that one, and I'm actually leaning to the part where I don't believe in it, because if I do believe in it, I'm going to say it's extremely rare, and
Hasn't been proven.
it hasn't been
Well, I mean,
proven.
just like
but
the
it's
afterlife.
it's a belief thing. So I do believe that maybe, possibly in certain instances, it can be
I do believe I can hang with you.
Really, I do believe I can hang with you people for a while. So I do think that. I do think that it's in extreme cases, and I'm not talking worldwide. I'm talking about maybe one in every 20 million.
The one thing we didn't touch tonight when we're talking about afterlife, which I don't think we could have talked about in this episode, but it's definitely for an episode by itself.
Come on, Junior, spit it out.
Is ghosts, is stuff like that, because that is technically
that's
afterlife,
gonna be in,
but that's more paranormal stuff.
Yeah, that's 2
than
seasons
it
from
is
now.
afterlife. All right, so Mr. West, reincarnation, afterlife.
Yes.
Beanbag Man.
Pope Tony the First.
Beanbag Man.
Pope Tony the First.
Oh wait a minute, you get to be called Pope Tony, but I'm getting a pop. I'm Big Joe, ain't I?
Beanbag Man.
To be fair, I don't. Did we even get introduced?
All right, hold on. Wait.
No, we didn't do.
No,
the
we didn't. We didn't do
Joey's
the
been lazy
introductions.
this season.
So, you should know us by now. All right, especially
What
about
about
the new
new
viewers?
viewers who just got on last episode?
We're still building, sir.
if we are 7 episodes in. If you're starting at episode 7, you have a problem.
Well, if they're looking at the most recent episode,
The best problem because you have all these episodes to watch. You catch up on.
Anywho,
shut the fuck up.
No,
Anybody out there knows of anyone who wants to host a podcast? Get in touch with us.
Get in touch with us. I'm right here. I could do it, maybe.
Oh
yeah,
man!
I would like to see you try
Et
to
tu,
host one.
Brute? Holy shit!
Anywho,
Anyway, so the Pope
Challenge
says
accepted.
this. I think.
yeah, you host the next episode.
What's the next episode?
What is the next episode?
Uh,
We'll be right back with that information.
the next
Here's my
episode is media manipulation.
Oh, watch me.
All right, fine.
Give it to him,
I'll
guys.
sit in the background.
So here's my
And I'll just
thoughts.
yell stupid
a
shit.
reincarnation in the afterlife.
Well, first I want to take a poll of should we change Pope Tony to Beanbag Man? Who says yay?
I like beanbag.
Yay. Yay.
Nah,
No. You're the deciding factor here.
I'm the Pope.
you can't say he
Come
can't
on.
come out and say I'm the beanbag man. I mean, yeah, come on.
I'm
Well,
the
the Pope has been 3 seasons.
I don't care. I'm still the fucking Pope.
After you just got shirts you want people to buy, now you want to change his name?
Well, it says fold down, go boom. It has nothing to do with
My hat says Pope Tony the First.
And I'm going to make you a Beanbag Man hat.
No.
I'm gonna have to say, let's stick with Pope. Like,
Thank you.
Damn you, Cito.
don't damn me.
So this is what the Pope says about the afterlife.
Hey, what you say about a new host like that?
yeah.
I think when it comes to the afterlife, I think it's all faith based, unless you want to bring in ghosts because maybe that is our consciousness surviving in a non-physical form, and at that point, it's not faith. We can see a ghost. I mean, paranormal shit aside, you can't prove ghosts exist technically, but whatever. There's evidence to support that it could be real. So. That's how I think you survive the afterlife. I don't know if they're about heaven or hell. When it comes to reincarnation, I kind of like what Bill Hicks thought his thought was that there is no life, there is no death. It is just an organism experiencing itself within different means within different means of energy. It's just energy experience itself subjectively through consciousness. I like that thought. We're all connected, and nothing means anything. I like that.
I am you.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm really hoping though that when I die, I wake it's like all of a sudden I'm taking off these VR glasses. I'm like, oh, that was fucking weird. That guy was an asshole.
Okay. Roadblock.
Oh, I got to be Sarah Jessica Parker next. Sweet.
Ew, you want to be a horse?
Fuck. My grandmother would love you.
Shut up!
She loves Sarah Jessica
Shut
Parker.
up!
She loves Sarah Jessica Parker.
No. If I can't fucking talk about it, neither can you.
She loves Sarah Jessica Parker. You dirty
Not
mind.
to mention, this podcast is listened by certain people. Out, really? Seriously?
I didn't say anything.
That needs to be edited out. Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Anyway, question was, do I believe? Afterlife? Not so much. I probably don't really believe in it. The reincarnation, though, however.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait.
Why do I always get...
No, because I have to. There's a question here. Bruh, don't be breaking my shit.
I'm about to fucking join the afterlife.
If you don't believe in the afterlife, why are you so afraid to go ghost hunting then?
Because I don't want to fucking around and find out. I'm not stupid either. You know that, right?
Pussy.
Yo, okay. That's something attached to you and coming into this house. I'm never doing the podcast again.
He's just waiting for there's a Beelzebub in here. I'll see you guys later.
Exactly. Come on.
You literally sat there and backed up and tried to summon Satan.
Yeah, you almost had a serious car accident trying to summon the devil. I don't think.
Okay, first of all.
That's why I don't fucking believe.
Okay, first of all, like I said, if we did, you're either gonna fight him, fuck him, or join him. There's only 3 options. All right, if it happens.
I think there's only one option for Wes is fight him.
Fight.
Well,
Or die
Pay off
trying.
my college debt. That's the question.
He has Muay Thai. If you join him, probably.
I'll pull a stink meaner. Bitch ass motherfucker.
All right. Anyway,
I'm not fucking the devil.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say I kind of actually believe in reincarnation only for the fact I went down a fucking rabbit hole the other day of the same thing we were just speaking of in the first. Kids sitting there speaking about past lives and being so fucking accurate with details, it is extremely scary. Because there's no way they could be that fucking detailed and actually be right when they say it. Because it's way past imagination at that point. When they're sitting there recalling actual events and they're only like 5, they're just growing up and then they just spew some shit out like that. To me, that is a bit terrifying because there's no way they would know. They're 5 years old. They're not even fucking divulged.
Kids say the damnedest things, right?
Yes. Like that type of shit, I will admit, is terrifying and actually leans me towards believing in reincarnation because there's no way in fuck you can just out of nowhere just spit something like that.
I agree with you.
Like,
That's fair.
That's the type of imagination us as adults can have. I could make up an entire fucking scenario. You might believe me, you might not believe me. But for a child who's only been on this planet 5 fucking years to recall something that specific, like it started with a video of a little girl saying, what was it? That the woman who was her mother isn't her mother because she remembers her actual mother. Like they had just passed away or some shit like that. And she was like giving mad specific details. And then the mother actually went and did some homework and looked this stuff up. And she found those people that she was talking about.
Like, that's fucking frightening as hell, man.
Yeah, that terrifies the fuck out of me. Like how? Just how?
I don't know. I would have an answer if I could give it to you.
No, you don't have one anyway. I'm just saying for the viewers, listeners. I'm just saying how. Okay. But anyway, I do kind of believe just simply because of that. Because I went down a fucking rabbit hole the other day.
Yeah, sometimes you get like that. Cito?
So when it comes to the afterlife, I don't know. Let me die and see for myself. I'm gonna be honest.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna wait that long, Cito.
Let me just die and see it for myself and prove me wrong, right? For reincarnation, yes and no, because I do have questions like, why is it only select few that remember their past lives? If it's going to be an actual thing that all people go through, then why don't all people go through it? Why is there just specific scenarios amongst like one child out of every 1 million, 2 million? And even then, if we're looking at like, say if the child says they're a famous person, right? What if they just watch their shows growing up? That could be imprinted in their mind.
Yeah, but at 4 years old, no one's watching the
It
example
depends, like, say, like, a tap shows. Like, what if their parents were watching and they're just there on the side?
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm like, if there really is no evidence for that to back that up, then you're back at square one.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That's what I was, like, the first thing you're going to look for is, like, look at all the influences this kid has growing up. What does he watch on a day-to-day basis? What kind of stories does he read? When he plays with people, what stories are they telling him? What kind of stuff? Like, once you start eliminating all that stuff and there's still no evidence to say that this thing is influencing him, then you're in a pickle.
See, the thing is, it's nearly impossible to eliminate all influence, especially with imagination. As influence then affects imagination, imagination can then turn into other things that may affect the mind.
Especially
and
when
it
the kid
goes,
doesn't understand.
It goes into dreams and how your consciousness and your mind may correlate to things. So that just might be a giant, big, like, whole like circle of maybe is just
Big old circle jerk.
the overactive the overactive imagination of a child or their mind working tenfold.
Yeah, I think there's definitely, I think, examples of a kid who's saying that I was reincarnated and like, I don't think you were. I think you're making shit up again. And then I do the thing like sometimes you get a kid who's like, no, I was from this town and I was at this house, and in that house you'll find a room with, pink flowers painted on the wall. It's like, how the fuck does that kid know?
Yeah, that's more questionable, but then once you eliminate the ones who say that,
oh yeah.
Yeah. That number gets even smaller. That
Yeah.
number goes from like 1 out of every 1
Then
million.
you're talking
to
about what he said. It's like it's very rare.
Yeah.
It's like very rare. So why is that? Why is it that only that child and very few others in the world get to experience reincarnation? What was that person doing in their past life? Is this just going to faith? Were they doing something wicked or something they were above and beyond in faith that may have done something? But then that ties into different faiths and how does that actually, because in Buddhism, Hinduism is based off your good deeds. But in Western religions, like we said, the thought process of reincarnation doesn't exist because of the afterlife itself, heaven and hell.
They believe that the afterlife is a place, is a destination.
Believe.
Yeah, it's like you very rarely hear like, oh yeah, when my past life I burned down a church. You know what I mean? Like, you don't ever get like someone who's like, I was a racist in my past life, until we met this person who thinks they're Hitler.
That's what I'm saying. When does enough become enough?
I think that's when enough becomes enough.
Like,
I think when people
I
start
want to
taking
identify
it to
as
the
Batman.
I want to
extreme.
start more people coming forward and be like, just start naming other high-ranking members of the Nazi Party, and they form a coalition, and then you can put them all away in jail
Okay,
at one time.
All right, as far as me, I'm going to say, as far as reincarnation, I'm on the fence because, again, there's not as much proof as I like there to be. Afterlife, I do believe in the afterlife because I do believe in, ghosts, and I do believe in all that type of stuff. Now, as far as, like, if you want to talk about, like, religious afterlife, as far as heaven or hell, there hasn't been no proof of that. Not saying it doesn't exist. That's something I'm not saying. As a Catholic, I do believe in heaven and hell. But that's, again, that goes into a religious belief. There's no proof of it. That's where my stance is. Now, next week, as we said, we're talking about media manipulation.
That's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that is. I mean, it has to do with the mind. People are manipulating you into doing something, and it's not just what you think. And when we talk about media manipulation, a lot of people think, well, we're going to talk about politics and stuff like that.
Yeah. He's
not.
going to have to sit on that side of the.
It's not really.
Why?
But no. But I'm telling you, it's not really more like it's more of how things are commercialized to you, where they can manipulate your mind into wanting to buy things, stuff
like
that.
subliminal messaging and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's
subliminal
every day,
messaging.
Every day.
And we're gonna go into. I really want to talk about because I believe this fits into it. The whole theory of playing a record backwards and hearing a subliminal message. That goes into it.
Backmasking?
Yeah. That is a theory I would like to go into, whether we believe it can be.
Well, to give you a little preview of that, I think you were in a room when I did this last week, when they took Stairway to Heaven. Now, in Stairway to Heaven, if you take the context of the song, the way it was written,
makes no sense.
There's no sense to the song. The words make no sense, So, but if you spin the record backwards, and some guy did it and he recorded it, I've heard it. And you can definitely hear him say, there's a lot of references to Satan. Now, again, and the guy was actually putting the words up as he was doing it. It didn't make sense either, but you just saw, it was something about my sweet Satan or something like that. Now, backward masking does exist. People do it as a goof. People sometimes do it. They flush a toilet and they run it backwards and they put it on the back of a song. It doesn't happen that much as nowadays, only because now we don't buy records anymore. But back in the day, you can spin the records.
Well, I mean, you could still play a song backwards and still.
That's
hear
true.
Shit.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how many people have the technology.
I mean,
to do that,
as far as like that will probably lead into our season finale, which is Satanic Panic, because most backwards masking I've heard always has to deal with some type of satanic beliefs.
Right.
I've never heard of anything like someone backwards masked a record and it says vote for Biden. You know, like I haven't heard that.
That would make sense though. Backwards Biden, you got it.
But like I said,
that was good. I'll give you that one.
So no one has anything else for this episode tonight?
I don't.
All right.
See y'all next week when I'm host.
So next week, media manipulation, and we're gonna sit
Cito
here.
gonna be spinning that shit backwards.
Cito will be your host next week.
Yes, sir.
So media manipulation next week. Please go to greenhourmedia.org and go up to the one of the panels where it is Spreadshirt. I keep getting that wrong. Spreadshop.
You want me to
See,
do
next week I'm
advertisement?
going to remember Spreadshop.
It's like Sweatshop, but just spread.
What?
It's like Sweatshop, but just spread.
We don't support sweatshops in here.
Why don't we
You
just
don't.
have them go to the website and click the link?
That's what I'm.
I
That's
don't
what I
either.
said.
You'll just see it on there. That's
Check
all.
out our Patreon. And the Is This Real TikTok.
Yes, go to our Is This Real TikTok, Is This Real PC, and use all the links in the bio to go to all of our links. You can get all the Patreon stuff up there. So this is the end of our episode. Everyone say good night.
Good night, everybody.
Adios,
Yatsumi.
motherfuckers.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Remember, everybody, question everything. We'll see you next week.
Konnichiwa, bitches. It's Ryu West speaking. If you want to find out more about the Is This Real podcast, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/isthisrealpc or on Twitter at isthisrealpc or on Instagram at isthisrealpodcast, all one word.